Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and I'm delighted that you all are joining me today on Enlightened World Network, wherever you are from in the world. Now, we have had people watching literally from all over the planet, which is what we want. We want more people seeing this beautiful programming throughout the network. And we want more people having access to these wonderful tools, this wonderful programming. And if you know of people, if you're watching this live or on the replay, that would benefit from the programming that we offer here for all of these shows, the uplifting, positive, and spiritually compelling shows that we offer here on Enlightened World Network, please hit the share button. Yeah, whether you're watching this on the replay or live, doesn't make any difference. Yeah, let's share this and all of the programming out to as many people as we possibly can, because that's what it's all about. And I think that is going to be my word for the day, is sharing. This is what we do in life. And I'll get to the Course in Miracles, lesson 52 in the workbook in a moment. But since this program is not technically just about A Course in Miracles, yes, that's the title. Yes, we're going through this thought system, this spiritual text, and these principles. But what I'm talking about here is universal spirituality. In other words, the experience that we're all having, it's shared. Our experience is shared, and when we show up and extend love to someone or to the entire world, whomever, whatever, in whatever way, we're sharing. We're sharing, and in truth, here's the real beauty of spirituality, is we cannot help but share. Why? Because minds are joined. We are joined. We are not separate, even though it may feel that way, maybe constantly, maybe it feels that way all the time. I don't know what your day or your evening has looked like so far, depending on where you are in the world, but these principles that we're going to talk about apply whether you're having a good day or a challenging day, whether you're having a day full of peace and blissful happiness, or whether it's frankly been really difficult. And for a lot of you, it might have been a really good, healthy combination of both, right? Because I'm just laughing because that's the way life is. It hands us the complete ugliness along with the complete beauty. And in order to experience only the beauty, we engage in spiritual practice. We have to, in fact, experience the ugliness first. It's coming up so we can release it. We cannot avoid it. The way to peace is not avoiding all ugliness and walling ourselves off against it. We've already built enough walls against the truth. That is what the ego is a wall. It's a defense mechanism against love itself, against God, against the universe, against our own truth, against our own oneness. What do we do about that? Well, we acknowledge that that wall is there, and then we begin to dismantle it. How do we do this? By extending love. Love dismantles it. It moves right through it and around it and doesn't even recognize it. Love recognizes only itself. God recognizes only himself. Or if you prefer, herself, doesn't matter. Itself doesn't really make any difference. The pronoun that we use, it's all just language. What we're after is the experience of who we are. So ask yourself the question, yeah, who am I? Hmm? I hope that you may ask that all the time. The route to peace and happiness comes through a decision we make every moment of every day, because there is only one choice that we can make. If you've watched this live stream before, you've heard me say it before, and you will hear it again. You can count on that. Why? Because it's critically important. As adult learners, we need to hear things a lot, right? 100 different times, 1,000 times. Maybe time number 1001 is the time where we actually make a decision in favor of love, where we actually decide to turn away from the ego, where we actually decide to ignore all of the negative chatter and the constant chatter in our minds and look within to where the truth lies and has never left us. Why has it never left us? It is who we are. You are the answer you've been looking for. I could end the live stream right there, but I won't. Why? Because we are following along with the workbook for students, and we've arrived at lesson 52. So if you've caught the live stream from yesterday, you'll know that we are now in a review period, and the workbook will present an idea a day. And it's presented 50 of them so far. Now, for the next several days, we'll be in a review period where we revisit some of the lessons. Some of them, you'll notice in the language of the workbook, are recast slightly. I wouldn't worry about the recasting language. Just read it and see. This is kind of fun to see. If you've been following along here, we're going through a review in lesson 52 of lessons 6 through 10 today in the workbook that we've looked at earlier. Now, I'm curious to know if you've been following along with this from the get-go, if you have a different take today on lesson 6 than you did a few weeks back. I can tell you from my own experience, having gone through the entire workbook a couple of times, this is actually my third time now, is that the third time does not look like the first. I'm quite literally seeing these for the first time. Why? Because I've changed substantially. And I credit so much of this to this wonderful course, to spiritual practice and the commitment that I've made to myself, to forgiveness, to love, and to all of you as well. And we do this in different ways. Not everybody is going to have a global live stream where they turn on a video camera and begin to speak, right? Your path, your way of serving, your way of teaching and reaching other people may look vastly different. And that's a beautiful thing. Why? Because there are people out there that will only resonate with your particular message. There are people out there in this world right now that need you, that are looking for you. You will connect with them. I may not connect with them. Our job as teachers is to show up and to teach, is to show up and to teach. My job is to turn on the camera and go live every day. The people that are supposed to watch will watch. The people that are supposed to find you will find you. In fact, the Course tells us as soon as we answer the call to awaken, yeah, in favor of love, everyone that's going to show up in this lifetime as our students will begin immediately looking for us. You answer the call, they'll look for you. Now, you can also put out some effort to find them. How do you do that? Well, show up and teach. That's how. And they will find you because your message, your particular take on the universal message, I should say, because ultimately these are shared. My word is sharing. The message of love is not limited to one person. It's not limited to a particular country or geographical region or religious or spiritual tradition. It is universal. And that literally means universal. Some people don't have it more than others. We all have equal access to love. Why? Because it's who we are. Now, it may look like some people are choosing it and some aren't, and that is the case in the world. So, question for you, right? You can see the difference between those who choose love and those who choose fear. It's very obvious. You can look at examples from your own life. Which are you choosing? Which are you choosing? So, as we go through today's review lessons in the workbook for students, let me just ask you to be really honest with yourself, really, really honest with yourself. Which are you choosing, love or fear? And I hope that the answer may be love, that you're choosing love. So, lesson 52, we're covering the review of lessons 6 through 10 in the workbook for students. So, if you're just picking this up and following along, that's where we are. You can catch past episodes of this live stream on the YouTube channel for Enlightened World Network and also on my Facebook page, Awakening to Love. Either of those two have this stream. So, all right, lesson 52. Here are some of the ideas. I'll just go through them and give a couple of quick comments on this, and then we'll take a look at your questions and comments here on the live. All right, so the first idea, I'm upset because I see what is not there. Okay, I'm upset because I see what is not there. Well, we're looking at illusions. I think that we feel this and we know this instinctively. And sometimes it may seem really obvious, isn't it, that things are not what they seem. If they were exactly as they seem, then we would have a concrete idea that what we're seeing in the physical world is all that there is, just kind of like our physical science books may tell us, right? Yeah, this is it. This is reality. Well, we know that there's more to it than that. That would naturally upset us, right? Yeah, I'm upset because I see what is not there. Next lesson in review. I see only the past. Now, this is lesson 7 from the workbook. This may strike you as improbable, and you may even experience some resistance thoughts of saying, "Oh no way, man, no, that's wrong, right? No, I see everything as it is." No, we don't. Think about how our minds run. We are preoccupied with past thoughts. We are thinking about what we should have done or could have done yesterday or last week. We are carrying around right here in the present moment labels about ourselves that are based entirely on the past, such as I'm a procrastinator, I'm bad at math. Okay, where's that coming from? It's coming from past experience. Where's the past now? It's not here, right? I see only the past. All right, so lesson 8, moving on here. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. You'll notice in the workbook that one idea flows naturally from the other. Think about where our minds go. We're preoccupied with past thoughts, and we're also preoccupied, it may seem, with future thoughts. We're worried about how things are going to go. We get anxious, trying to control and manipulate our entire experience so that the next moment that we have falls in line exactly according to our plans, which we think are going to bring us happiness, but they don't bring us happiness necessarily. I mean, we might have a joyful next hour and a half, or it might turn out to be really difficult for us, right? The only time that we think about the past or the future is right now. The future isn't here. The past is gone. We have only right now. However, we pull ourselves away and we allow ourselves to get pulled away in many, many different directions, sometimes dozens and dozens of them at once. This is one of the reasons why meditation or prayer or a contemplative spiritual practice is so necessary. It returns us to the present moment. enter these workbook exercises. All right, so 2 more in today's review. And this is a review of lesson 9, I see nothing as it is now. Yeah, we just talked about that. If you're looking at the future, if you're looking at the past, you don't see anything as it currently is right now. All right, and the last lesson for today, which is lesson 10 from the workbook, my thoughts do not mean anything. All right. Well, if this is new to you, this may come as a bit of a surprise, maybe a bit of a shock. However it strikes you, here's what the course means. Here's what the workbook means by my thoughts do not mean anything. There are no private thoughts. Yeah, I said that. It's not my individual idea. The course says it, and that's truth. There are no private thoughts. Why? We're shared. We're having a shared experience. We're all joined. Doesn't look like it on the surface, does it? Doesn't feel like it on the surface when you turn on your news feed. We've got people that are trying to get people to have a COVID vaccine, fighting with people who don't want to have the vaccine, and everybody's calling each other names. They've drawn lines in the sand. This is just one example. Yeah. Politics, another example. Differences of opinion between nations, another example. There are multiple examples in the world of people that appear to be having their own private thoughts. Well, there are no private thoughts. It says it here in the workbook in lesson 52. It says, I have no private thoughts. Neither do you. Neither does any of us. We do not have private thoughts. It says it multiple times in the text. Yet that's all we seem to be aware of. So what do? Well, these thoughts don't mean anything because we know that we're seeing the past. We're dwelling on some time other than the present, and the present is all that exists. That's literally all that we have. So spiritual practice is about returning ourselves to this moment. This is where we go deep. This is where we experience the presence of love. It's where we bring all of our baggage and release it. This is where we forgive. We forgive ourselves. We forgive other people. We forgive circumstances, the entire world. This is where we forgive. There are no private thoughts. The workbook will say this again, and you can count on some repetition. If you have not noticed it already, you will most certainly notice it as you continue, because we need to hear things multiple times. And the workbook is very deliberate, very precise, and calculated, honestly, about delivering it to us in multiple different ways so that we may get it. It's a loving delivery. It's a loving delivery. It is so that we may get it, so that we may make the decision in favor of love, so that we may come to understand and to know. It's not forcing it on us. One of the beauties of A Course in Miracles is there is no coercion to believe one thing or another. Just because I'm saying something here on this live stream doesn't mean that you have to believe it. And just because the workbook says something doesn't mean you have to believe it. It's a self-study curriculum. So you go at your own pace, you study this, you practice it yourself. I can tell you from personal experience that if you make the commitment to do that, you will emerge a completely different person. It may look like you change a lot. Honestly, you're awakening to who you really are, which has never gone anywhere. You come to realize that, and that's a beautiful thing indeed. Okay, so for the next few days here, we will be doing the review, lessons 53 through 60 of the workbook for students will involve more of reviews of past ideas. So what we'll be doing is very important because we'll be highlighting really important universal spiritual principles right here on the live stream. So I invite you to continue to tune in. And the showtime is different every day here on the live stream. It is something that bounces around in terms of time. So I want to invite you to check the show guide on the Facebook page for Enlightened World Network, which will have all of the day's programming, not just this show, but all of the shows on the network. So it's a great idea to see what's coming up so you can tune in, and you can always, always, always catch the replay. All right, so it looks like several people have joined in with us, so I want to say hi to you here before we wrap up. And yeah, so it's like Robert is here, hello, and Abla is here, hello, how are you? Yes, yeah, repeat it over and over again. Get our subconscious mind to believe it. Yeah, get our subconscious mind to experience it. Ah, yes. Anybody ever been a teacher in this lifetime, or a professor, adult education? Yeah, we've got to give it to the adults several different ways, right? Visually, audio, right? There's no limit to the number of ways that we need to receive information, right? Sometimes before we get it, and some of us are stubborn. I mean, I was stubborn and resistant to a lot of this at first. Why? Because I wasn't used to thinking and perceiving the world in this way. So yeah, repetition, it's good in this case. Yeah. Yeah, and Robert writes a really interesting point that I want to talk about. Sometimes what's behind the veil of illusion may be scary. Yeah, yes, that is one of the reasons why people are reluctant to release all of this. It's why we're reluctant to forgive sometimes, is because we fear what's going to be if we let all this go. And a large part of this, and this has been a huge part of it in my experience, is that we're letting go of an ego identity. People might label themselves any number of different things. I'm a procrastinator. I'm this. I'm that. I'm something that, maybe we view as positive, maybe not. But whatever it is, we label and judge and pigeonhole and force ourselves into certain boxes, for lack of a better word, certain preconceived, predefined boxes that aren't who we really are. So to leave that box, if that's all you know, can be really scary. If you've lived your entire life inside a windowless room, when someone reveals to you that there's a window and opens it and the sunlight comes in, that might be quite shocking. Yeah. And that's why it can appear scary. How do we work through that? Well, we sit in it moment to moment and we ask for guidance. Yeah. Prayer is a beautiful thing, asking for your guides support and to show you what needs to be shown right now in any given moment is of critical importance, and it's really beautiful. And it helps because you're getting out of your own way. You're not saying, hey, I got this. My ego knows everything. Because that's what the ego would like you to believe, isn't it? And the ego wants us to be afraid. So we choose love and we choose love and we choose love. And then what appears to be fearful no longer appears fearful. And we just move past it as though it were never there. Why? It never was. All right. Yes. And so a lot of hello, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Hi, Lisa. And yeah, interesting. Some of the things that we see, right? Um, I use the example of people going to town on each other, attacking each other about the pandemic and COVID vaccines and fear and lots of fear-based thoughts out there. So I'm not going to express an opinion one way or another. However, I happen to agree with Jesus, okay, and the Holy Spirit, that if we choose love, then beautiful things will happen. Yeah, so that is my choice, is love. And that's a good barometer for us, isn't it? How do we know that we've chosen love? Well, how do you feel? Right? Do you feel expansive? Do you feel more open? Do you feel willing to extend love to people? Do you feel that you can't help but extend love to people. That's how you know that you've chosen love. Are you joyful? Are you exuberant? Are you boundless? Are you limitless? Well, yes, ultimately you are. Are you feeling that right now? Well, if you are, then you'll know that you've chosen love. If you are not, if you're contracted, if you're feeling sad, frustrated, scared, angry, afraid, lack, that is a sign that you've chosen fear. So rather than destroy yourself or beat yourself up for it, which is what we do, isn't it, as human beings, choose again. Choose love right now, because all we have, once again, is the present moment. So we show up, we choose love right now. And if you don't believe it'll work, just try it. See what happens. See what happens, but pay attention to how you feel and be honest with yourself, right? Because that's what spirituality is all about. It's not about deceiving ourselves. Why? Because we've already been deceiving ourselves. So let's take a break from that and stop doing it altogether. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for joining in, and feel welcome to add additional comments here if you would like to here on the live stream. I will go back and look at them if you're catching the replay, and I will see you all again here tomorrow. Reminder, this is a daily live stream here on Enlightened World Network. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love.